We are not going to worry about these crazy tech woes we're having. We're just going to...
No, we're
Friday
not.
afternoon. You know what? I might go back and put on my crazy filters after all. I'm going to. I'm going to do it.
Okay. Well, hello from the East Coast of Canada. We're here once again to share social media tips and strategies for small businesses who are paddling against the tides, trying to get to shore in a sea of platforms. It's the Social Coast with Anita and Tina. Welcome to everyone. And right now, everyone is Adam because we lost everybody with all of our technical glitches. So let's take a second to tweet this out and let everybody know we are actually working and live.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll get a few more people in to chat with us because I think our topic today is really good. We're going to be talking about how to find and choose a social media consultant that you can trust and that you can work with and that is a good fit for your business. So Tina and I obviously are social media consultants. We have a few things to offer in that area. Adam probably has some things to offer in that because he knows lots of the consultants in town, and Michelle, if she comes back, she'll have some things to say about that as well. So the topic came about because the other night in our marathon planning session, Tina and I started talking about different skill sets of different social media consultants we know, and we started talking about, well, how do you decide who to refer business to, and how do you decide who is a good social media consultant? And so it's a question that we have to answer somewhat regularly for other people when we're referring business. And we started to talk about that and realized, well, I have a couple of blog posts that I've written about that. There's lots of other resources out there with things you can ask and look for. Yeah. So we thought it would be a good idea to talk about it today so that everybody who's listening in has some things that they can look for in their social media consultants and then find the right one. Exactly. So that said, I think we'll start. Okay, sorry, that name just caught me off guard.
Diane, we can't welcome you verbally with that username, but
not verbally, but you're welcome to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, it really caught me off guard to see it.
Oh, that was funny.
And welcome, Walter. We're just getting started here, and we're laughing at ourselves. Okay, so I have several different resources on my website that I can point people to if they're looking for a social media consultant. Yeah. So the first thing is, what type of, is that the order we decided? Where did I write my notes? The types of consultants. So there are all kinds of different types and levels of social media consultants out there. And depending on your business and depending on your budget, one might be better for you than another. So I had broken it down on my website to 3 different types or categories of social media consultant. And we can nitpick about these definitions and we can say, well, there's actually a 4th or whatever, but this is just to give people an idea. Yeah. And so here, I'll just post the link. So here's the link to a resource page on my website where I've written this. So I've called them a virtual assistant, a social media strategist, and a community manager. Yeah. So the purpose of this page was actually to help people understand how much they could expect to pay for social media help and what they could expect to get for that amount of money. Because what you get when you hire a virtual assistant may be, I'm not going to say is, because there are some great virtual assistants, but it may be very different from what you get if you go out looking for a strategist or a community manager. So a virtual assistant, in my definition, is somebody who you hand them the content and they put it up for you on a schedule. So you're giving them everything, you're writing it, you're providing the pictures, or maybe they're finding pictures to go with it, but you're telling them what to put up, how to write it, it's your voice, they're doing it for you. And I've seen that type of service in Halifax going for anywhere from $15 to $50 an hour, depending on the person, how long they've been in business, what their skill sets are.
Yeah.
Anything to add to a virtual assistant, Tina?
Well, one of the things that is often talked about is, in the case of a virtual assistant, quite often the business owner will be, as you say, delivering all the content that they want posted. And the virtual assistant, because their specialty is not strategy, and they might have, sort of their bag of tricks, different tactics that they use to increase engagement. So they may have some knowledge in that area, but they won't, they're not the kind of outsource person who's going to offer a lot of input on your content. And so quite often it ends up being a situation where the business owner wants to have tight control over their content. And often there's a process where they go back and forth with any changes that are made. And it can become tedious at times. So I think the best way to work with a virtual assistant is still to collaborate. So I think that's something that's quite often falls out of the mix a little bit in that working relationship. But there should be some kind of collaboration back and forth, because always the person posting the content who has their hands on the job will have some additional insights about how the content is performing and that sort of thing. I'm not a huge fan of the virtual assistant arrangement, because I think that every business needs to have a strategy in their social media activity that supports their other marketing goals. And a virtual assistant may be that person if they're working closely with your marketing department, but they're not necessarily that person if you don't have a marketing department that understands social media. So that's one of the pitfalls or a couple of the pitfalls I sometimes see with that relationship.
Yeah, good points. Okay, so the next category I had was a social media strategist. So this type of service, well, it's hugely varied. So they could be charging you on an hourly basis to help you with training or brainstorming ideas, or they could be charging you on an hourly basis to help you develop your content plan and your strategy, or setting up and auditing your profiles. They probably have a communications background of some kind, or a lot of experience in communications. And I just wanted to point out too that all of these categories, I'm talking about freelance type people like Tina and I and Michelle and Kara. I'm not talking about big agencies, because the people that we're trying to help here on the Social Coast probably can't afford to hire the big agencies and pay thousands of dollars a month. So if you're just looking for somebody to help you out with your social media or take it over for you, and you don't need that big agency atmosphere, then these are the types of people you can find locally here in Halifax. Okay, so social media strategist, they're helping you a little more with your content, planning out your content strategy, figuring out where you need to be, on which platforms, how often to post. Maybe they're helping you write the content or do the graphic design or run your ads, but it's a little more than just handing over the content to a virtual assistant. They're actually helping you develop the strategy behind what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. And in many cases, actually, I find, well, in almost all cases, in all cases with all of my clients, I'm doing the lion's share of the content development, but that's how I prefer to work. And so there is a greater level of trust in this work relationship, where you will have probably more questions about how they work, and you will want some referrals or references from their past clients. My clients come through more often than not by referral, just for that reason, because there is that higher level of trust where they can talk to another business owner that they know, and they can talk to that business owner more intimately and personally about the working relationship, the services you provide, how happy they are with those services, and your capabilities. And still, I think for strategists, there's a really wide range of services provided. But the main thing is this is your big picture thinker who has a marketing mind. Those are the things as far as I'm concerned. This is someone who can look at all of the different platforms with a certain degree of knowledge because they're staying up to date with the research and the latest trends and developments. This is someone who has hands-on experience with all of the main platforms and so one of the ways you can test out whether or not they're an effective strategist is just to take a look at their presence online, their active presence, and judge for yourself, right? Is this engaging content? Are people engaging with this content? Does this content seem like it's directed toward a particular market segment or a target market? And is it active? Are they posting on their platforms? These are like really easy ways to investigate a strategist, because someone who talks the talk without walking the walk is a red flag.
Uh-oh. Tina, you froze again. I'm just going to... All right. Recording's off.
I think I
You
froze.
Can take your phone call.
Yeah. Well, I'm just waiting for it to come through, and I'm thinking I hope I have my ringer on, but I do. Oh, here it is.
There you go. All right. Bye. Thanks, Michelle and Adam, for tuning in. Nice to have loyal followers.